right, so you showed me some of the PHP stuff, which I can use to write macros, and the whole reason is because I want to do something with my button. Can I just use this one-to-one, some of the things you've shown me so far?
Slow down. So yeah, so there's one building block missing.
Okay.
So in general, I would say yes, but there is something missing surrounding the statements we learned so far. Yeah. The reason is when I click a button in JEDOX, the button calls something, and inside this something, our statements we learned can be processed, and this what has to be called is a function.
Okay.
So let's take a look here. I prepared something. So the missing building block in PHP, so it's still PHP, is a function, and it looks like this. It's a leading term from PHP. It's always function, and then the function has a name, and we have this parentheses here, and inside the function, surrounded by curly brackets, one or multiple statements can be executed. So the statement here is actually something we learned before, and to give you an impression how it looks like, we take this sample here to our little web environment here, and then I'll explain what happens. So the first thing is here is now a function name as in the first line of code, and then we have an echo. The echo we know already, right? So this is executing or just dropping this message. Coffee has been brewed with a line break. So this is an HTML line break.
And then the semicolon.
And the semicolon, yeah, exactly. So very important. So what this line, this statement is doing, it's actually calling, let's say subroutine. So we can also say subroutine because this is line 1 will be executed, line 2 will be executed. So when you call fbrew espresso, the code is jumping and searching for a function called with this name, and is then executing first the statement in this function, and then it's going back here to line 1 and executing the next line, code number 2. So the purpose is here that you maybe can, let's say, create recurring statements that maybe have to be called multiple times in your code, and you can write them only once and recall them multiple times. So what this, let's take a look. So actually, you see the echo in the function, even if it's written after the main code, it's executed first, and then as a the second echo, coffee has been brewed, is executed and as a second result here. So there you can see how the code is working. So line 1 is a call of a function. It's going down. It's executing the statement here. Espresso has been brewed with a line break. So that it's an HTML line break just to get here a little more visibility here. So it's jumping back, and then the second echo is being executed. In JEDOX, we are storing all of our statements surrounded by functions, and the function name, this can be called then by your button. So this is the reason why I explain that you need actually a function surrounding whatever you want to do in your in JEDOX. Now let's take a look, because now we have the little link to JEDOX. So this is just PHP. So the function is working in both environments. But there's an exception. I wrote it down here. You see, here's a function with the name __open. So technically, because it's PHP, your function name can be whatever text. But if you name it __open in the JEDOX environment, this is a prepared, or let's say it's an occupied keyword, and it's used in JEDOX to execute actually the function with this name on the open procedure of a report. and vice versa, the closing.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a kind of event handling. So the JEDOX environment checks your macro functions, whatever you have stored, and if one is called __open, it will be executed definitely when the report will be opened. So and the other one will be executed when you close the report. So this is not really prepared functions names. They only are occupied and used when you execute or when you start a report and close a report. So this is the only thing you have to care about. When you write a function name in JEDOX and you name it like this, something happens automatically. I mean, it's very useful. Now, let's take another look to our function. So let's go a little bit more in details, because in our sample we have espresso has been brewed and coffee has been brewed, right?
Yeah.
And we use this to show that this line or this echo is being processed before the other one. But honestly, it looks weird. Yeah, so to have two echoes.
Yeah, it's a little redundant.
Yeah, correct. So what can I do also? So what is the next level with the function I can do? So this is the same function we have currently in our tester. So we call the function is writing echo, and then the next line will be executed. So let's take a look what we have here, because here is now a new keyword, a new part, a new word in the code. It's return, and this is very, very useful. So because we are giving something back to the calling or to the line of code where the function has been called. So let's start here. So we have again our brew espresso function like before. The difference is now here it's just a statement without anything before and after, and now we have a variable with an equal calling the function. So in this case, we might get something in return. So we call this. So we go down. We call f brew espresso, and inside we have now a slightly different organization of our statements. So in this case, we have just the text espresso storing, or we store this into a variable string value, and now you see the return is actually returning this information back. And this is the reason why I have this arrow here, back and forth. So we going back, and whatever is now in the variable, so espresso, is being taken and stored into our string result. And now we can echo the result concatenated with the text has been brewed. So in this case, we only have one echo. So espresso has been brewed. So this is also very helpful to actually request or to execute or process a logic, a calculation or whatever, and you expect a result given by the function back to you. So this is also very, very common use for the next step in programming.
Okay.
Yeah. Now let's take the next level. Yeah. Let me scroll down here to the next little sample. So this time, and let me copy this now, or let's compare first. So this is the current version. Now somebody asked, I would like to brew espresso and cappuccino. Right? So we have two functions now. So one is responsible for the espresso, the other one is for the cappuccino. And if you follow a little bit the look and feel of the statements here, so we have a variable, we store whatever is being done in fbrew espresso. Let's take a look. Actually, we just get espresso into a variable, we return this, and then we create our resulting text has been brewed. So espresso has been brewed. Then the next line we actually call a second function, and this function is responsible for cappuccino. And we get a cappuccino back, and we see echo the string result is being concatenated with has been brewed. So let's take a look how this works in our environment. And we run the code, and we got espresso has been brewed and the cappuccino has been brewed. So it looks good, yeah. But if you really take a closer look to the single statements we have here, some of them they are looking more or less the same. Yeah, so we are calling two functions. They have different names, and the only difference inside is here's espresso and here's cappuccino. Everything else is the same. And this also for the echo. So we are concatenating whatever result we got with the same name. So here now it's the next level of using functions for programming. How can I reduce the amount of code lines? How can I reduce the maintenance effort instead of copying multiple times and creating redundant functions? We go this way now. Let's take a look. We copy this and then we follow the code lines.
It's a lot shorter than this one above.
Yeah, definitely shorter. And the important thing here I would like to highlight is that we call now one new function and we call it brew coffee. And you see the parentheses are now filled with the text. So what we can do now is we can give the function kind of ingredients. So technically it's a parameter.
Okay.
Yeah. So we call the function brew coffee. We tell the function, by the way, I would like to have espresso. So let's take a look how brew coffee is now defined, because now also here we have the parentheses filled with a variable name. So we expect that whenever you call brew coffee, we expect an information. What kind of coffee? So we create now a new variable inside our function that actually is telling us, yeah, the coffee type, whatever we get, has been brewed, and we return this to the call, and we echo this. So we have now just one single function, and you see this. The next call here is calling the same function but with the different ingredients. So cappuccino instead of espresso, and we're using the same function but with a different call, with a different parameter. So let's take a look here when we run the code. Wow, actually it looks the same. Yeah. So we get the same result but with less code lines.
Yeah.
And the key here is really that the function that you can give the function also something to work with, and you get in return the result. Yeah. This is what I want to show you. So this is a very important building block in JEDOX, working with functions.
Yeah, tough stuff, but it all makes for better code.
Yeah.